someone tells you that being a mom is really hard work, you expect it to be like in the movie where it's all, having this cuddly little cute person to play with. But at the end, it's very hard work, all those sleepless nights, the tantrums. But it's also so rewarding because when you've had a very hard day, just having that smile at the end of the workday and that arms around your neck and people telling you, oh, mommy, you're my cutest little darling mommy, you're the best mommy. So that just makes your day. So that's what being a mom is really like.
It's hard. Anything that everybody tell you it's smooth, everything will be fine, it's not. I have my on and off days. Most days are on. But then there are days that I'll run to the bathroom, take a minute, tears rolling down my face, and I'll walk out as if nothing happened. But it's not smooth sailing, not at all.
Overwhelming. It is challenging. It is unconditional love, a love that I've never experienced in my life before. But it's also the toughest and hardest thing I've ever had to do.
It's one of those exhausting but rewarding things, because there's days where you feel like you can't anymore. You just want to lie down, or you just want to go to bed and not have to worry about someone else's bath time or bedtime or food or whatever. But then something small happens, like you'll come home and want to hug or just want to cuddle a little bit, and then it's all worth it just for that 2 minutes of cuddling time.
As a mom of adult children, it's less involved than I would have liked to be. I have to constantly remind myself that they're adults and they don't always need my advice. I should wait for them to ask for it. But when they were younger, being a mom of children, what it was really like was it was actually a lot of fun. I enjoyed my children a lot.
Exhausting, but absolutely amazing. It's joy that you can't describe it.
Wow, being a mother firstly is fun, and it's a blessing, of course. As busy as it gets, but I really like it. It's really fun to have kids that are looking up to you for everything.
Most of the time, no. Most of the times we don't know. But you take it day by day, and as much as you teach your children, so much you learn from them. And the one thing that they do teach you is patience. So most of the times you don't know what you're doing, you go with the flow, you roll with it. But at the end of the day, it's about being authentic as a mother and as a person and trying to raise decent young people.
I have no idea what I'm doing as a mother. I honestly know. Michael and I, each day is a challenge on its own. One day you feel like you're the best mom and why aren't people complimenting me enough? And the next minute I'm like, what is even happening in my life right now? So no, I have no idea what I'm doing.
No, make it up as I go. Not completely. We do quite a bit of research. In the beginning, I fooled myself. I Googled a lot of stuff, and then Google would tell me your child has this disease or this thing or whatever. And then we just got to a point where okay, no, Google, you're not the best help that I've ever received. So what we do now is we try and just evaluate, follow your instincts. And obviously, if it's harmful, don't do it. But if you know that this is the best for your child in this situation, then go for it. I mean, there's a reason you were chosen to be their parent.
Do you know what you're doing? Look, I'm going to have to think back to when Kyle and Adele were smaller, hey? And I have to admit that when they were first born, up until when Kyle was 5, I just raised them the way I was raised, thinking that's just the way things were done. And then with a specific incident that happened, where I actually gave Kyle a hiding, I realized afterwards that wasn't the best way to handle it. And I became more aware of what I was doing and how I was doing it. And so I became more intentional about how I parented rather than just react in the moment or whatever.
No, we're just winging it.
Yes, we do. I think we live in a society where before your child would be my child. If a mother had a baby, the whole community would pull together to help the mother, at least for that first 10 days. The mom would be like in bed, and the rest of the community would cook for her, look after the other kids, make sure that her house was tended to. We don't have that anymore because we have all these emancipated young women all working, so our whole community is working, and mothers really do not have that support system anymore, especially the younger mothers.
I think so. In today's community, a lot of moms, and you tend to get it, and this is the honest truth, that a lot of people judge you. Instead of assisting and helping, they are judging you and they're watching you weigh and what you're doing wrong. I had an incident about 2 weeks ago, and my almost 2-year-old had a meltdown in the point, and he was crying hysterically, and everybody watched and waited for me to lose control. And all that I did was I went down on my knees, and he was lying on the grass, and I just stroked him until his tantrum was done. I picked him up, and a lady looked at me and she just smiled. And just that confirmation made me feel good. Instead of somebody saying, "But why are you hitting your child?" or just let him get over the tantrum. So, and to be honest, I was one of those parents or one of those people before I was a mom. And then I was quick to say, "But she can just take the child out," or "I will never allow that." Today, I learned it's not that easy.
To be honest, if you're not a mom, you don't think like a mom. I have so much respect for mothers now that I am one. I never used to think how hard it is just to get out of the house, first of all, and then second of, how do the people get to church looking like a family? I don't know. I honestly think mothers need more support. Now that I am a mom, I know how it feels to not always have the support that you would like to. When it's a newborn baby, everyone wants to help, everyone is there for you, you feel loved, you feel supported, it's overwhelming. And then when after 3 weeks you feel alone, and that's where the support I feel from other moms actually really kicks in and where you really need it.
Yeah, I really do. Just because in society it is seen as a sign of weakness if you ask for help, or if someone walks in and your house is messy, then you're like, "Oh, I'm so sorry," and then because you're scared you're gonna look lazy. But that's not the case. Like, you have little people running around your house, throwing everything out. It's okay to feel like things are overwhelming, you know, and people need to just normalize that. Like, it's okay not to be okay in that situation. Guidance, yes, definitely, it'll be nice. Not forceful guidance, I don't know. So don't tell me what to do, but you can give your opinion. And then it's still the mom's decision if they want to go for it or not.
I think, surprisingly, I think moms of today have got a lot more information at their fingertips. I think they're more aware that there is assistance out there. But I think the pressure on moms today is a lot greater than it was when I was younger. And I think the reason for that is because society has placed a standard on mothers that isn't necessarily realistic. You've got to look a certain way, you've got to behave a certain way, your children have to be performing in a certain way. And it's not realistic, it's not attainable. Instagram, Facebook, all those things are only the highlights of everybody's life, and then a lot of people think that's what they need to aspire to constantly, but it's not reality. So I'd say, yeah, it's probably more difficult now, and so moms probably need real support in the form of older moms that can actually mentor and guide and assist.
Absolutely, yes. Why would you say that? I think it's scary enough, especially when you go home with this newborn baby. It's scary enough to go home with this little human being that you have to try and keep alive, and you don't know what you're doing. There's no manual, no one gives you a manual. And I think it would be amazing just to have more support and to have moms that have gone through it or moms that are busy going through it, so that you see that you aren't alone.
Exactly. We do need support because sometimes it can be overwhelming. So at least if we have support, we know that we're not on our own, we're not alone. We have people that are willing to support and be with us through this motherhood journey.
I think the different personalities that my children have, each one of them are so unique in their own way. Each one of them is different. I think that has surprised me mostly of being a mom, is that I could be one person to 4 different children, and I could still teach all of them the same values, and they would perceive it in a different way, all 4 of them totally different.
My patience. I always thought that I had a lot of patience, but I don't. But it's taught me that I should be patient. I should be more patient and just take everything as it goes and take my time with my children.
What surprised me most about being a mom is the love. I didn't think I was capable of loving 2 kids so much, and also to see my husband in a different way. I love him even more.
What surprised me most is how much I can actually do at once. Because in the beginning, before I had before I had a child, I would do something and another thing, and I'd be like, oh my gosh, I'm so cool, I can multitask. Now I can get the bath ready, make supper, entertain John with a snack, but he's still entertained, it counts. I can do so much more at once, and it's not necessarily a good thing, but it has stretched my capacity a lot. So yeah, that's one thing that I would say.
I would say the first thing that surprised me was when I discovered they weren't little mini-me's. They were actually their own people, own personalities and temperaments, own desires, and God had actually created them for His purpose and His glory. That was a surprise. But I think the other surprise was that they actually are these amazing friends to me. That we're not just mom and son and daughter, but that we're actually a group of people that like each other and really get on and have fun together.
That even when I get upset and angry with them, they still love me no matter what. That really has surprised me the most. I can be, it could have been quite a day and I could just get upset for no reason, and you expect them to then be upset back, and they're just not. They'll come and give you such a big hug, or they'll just, that has surprised me the most, the unconditional love that you learn.
What has surprised me most is the patience that I have towards them. I never knew that I have so much patience. So yeah, that's the one. Yeah.
The love and the care that they give, as much as you love them, they love you back tenfold. Especially in the toddler years, they are so giving and so loving. So I think that's what I appreciate most. And the fact that I can give to someone else and get it back tenfold, all that love, I think that's what I appreciate most about being a mom.
I appreciate everything. Just being a mother is a gift itself. I feel completely blessed. I feel actually overwhelmed by the love.
I appreciate the love. You see, now it's coming. Because you can feel how bad about yourself, but to that little person, you mean the world. You can feel I didn't even shower today, I haven't brushed my teeth or my hair, but that little person, all they see is love and support, and that you're there for them, yeah.
Only as I got older, I started recognizing the massive responsibility I actually carried as a mom. But I appreciate the fact that God gave me these two very specific human beings to try and raise in his ways and with a knowledge of him and an understanding of him and an understanding of the world around them, and an appreciation for the fact that I got an opportunity to form and direct these two personalities into the world, hopefully to contribute to a better place.
I think I appreciate the fact that I have these two little bodies that are there forever and they're not going anywhere, and we have this amazing journey that we can walk together, that we get to look forward to. I think that's the thing that I appreciate the most, that I know that motherhood doesn't end. It's this forever journey.
Oh God, I appreciate the love that I have to share with them, the playing that we have to do together, the fun times that we share together. It's really priceless, and I really appreciate it.
The most challenging thing about being a mom is raising our children in the society of today. Outside, things are being perceived as being, the social media is having norms for our children that we do not want for them. So having them filled with a Jesus-like spirit in the world outside and trying to raise them to be decent young people and to have values that we were raised with, that is the most difficult part, because we would like to have our kids, go outside and be proud of them, not just for what they achieve, but for the people that they are and that the way they treat other people. And it is very difficult when the world is showing them one thing and you are teaching them something else. So that's the most difficult part.
It's having the time with your children and juggling. If you have a career and then you're a housewife, you're a wife, you're a mother, and all that hats you need to fit into one day. And you don't always have the time that you want to spend with your children. If you want to spend an hour with them, you get to spend like 10 minutes because you're always in preparation for the next day. And that is really hard to have all those hats. And then you feel bad sometimes that you don't get to spend enough time with the children when you want to.
I think the challenging thing is not knowing what you're doing. I'm a nurse. I worked in the NICU, so I have baby background. I can work with sick babies, but when it comes to your own baby, it's completely different. You feel alone. I think the most challenging thing for me is you're in a completely different season than where you used to, and I think I used to compare apples with pears, and it's not the same at all. I can't compare myself with my life before. It's not the same. So just to really accept where I am now, and that I can't always attend everything, and that you feel alone. Like it feels like the world is going by, everything is moving on, and you are sitting here trying to be a mother, and also you don't know how to do that. So it's difficult.
It's to balance life and work and spending time with John, because it's tough. Especially having a full-time job, it's not easy. Like, where do you draw the line with your job, and where do you spend time with your spouse and all of that stuff? So that's been the most difficult, is just finding balance among it all.
I raised both Kyle and Adele to be independent thinkers and to stand their ground, to stand up for what they believe in. And now sometimes that's different to what I believe in. So the most challenging thing now is to respect their autonomy and to respect the fact that they have grown into people that can form their own opinions, and that they do so based on their life experience and the things that they know. And what's actually surprised me and been challenging for me as well is to reach a point where I can actually learn from them. And I have learned a lot from them.
What is the most challenging thing about being a mom?
The most challenging thing about being a mom is that you always have to think about them before you do anything. Like before, when I was still alone, it was always about me. But now there's 2 little people that I have to think of before I could do anything.
My time, my sleeping patterns. So my time is not my own anymore. Before I could do whatever I want, and now I always have to think of someone else first before I think of me. All moms say this, but it is so the truth. You go to the shop to buy a top that you need, and you come back with the shoes that the kid doesn't even need at all. So that has changed my whole life, but mostly my time, because someone else's needs always come before my own. But that's just what being a mom is all about.
Everything. Your relationship. Firstly, my relationship with my husband. Before you have your children, you're always together in each other's space. But with the children and everything else, you are so busy. You don't have time to spend with your husband, really. And I tend to tell Sammy that we need to have that connection. And even your spiritual life, everything changes. You don't have time on your hands for all those things. So your relationships with everybody else and your friends even, you will see later on in life, the older they get, the less friends you tend to have because the more busy you get. And everybody's lives just revolve around the children and their families.
I have so much more respect for my mom, and I am so sorry for all the stuff I done to her. What is the question again?
What is one thing that has completely changed since having kids?
Yeah, one thing that has really changed is the way I see mothers, the way I appreciate my own mother. Also, I can't just go out whenever I want to. I am a mother now. It's not about me anymore. I'm an only child, so everything was about me and how I can win at life. And now it's completely, I can't remember when last I had me time just for myself, and I wouldn't want it any other way, to be honest.
My body. I don't know if I'm allowed to say that. But yeah, definitely my clothing don't fit the way they used to. And it doesn't matter on how many diets I try to go or exercise plans I want to consider doing. Probably it won't. I probably won't do it. But that's just a me thing. But yeah, I would say my body is one of the biggest things that changed.
Yo, I'd say that definitely the level of selfishness that you go through the world with. I grew up in a house with my dad and my mom that did make us aware of society's needs and our responsibility towards others and so on. But I don't think I ever took up that as seriously as I did once I had children, because for the first time I actually completely was able to, in a sacrificial way, be giving and caring about somebody else's welfare more than my own. I'd say that is probably the biggest thing, yeah.
Everything has changed. I think all of a sudden your heart walks around outside your body and you have this constant, like, are they going to be okay? Like, you have to have such huge faith, sending them out into the world and knowing that you have to raise them right to make the right decisions.
My priorities have changed. It's always them before myself. So, yeah.
My biggest worry as a mom is that something bad will happen to my children. I have a daughter. It is such a reality of what is happening outside, and we cannot just be speaking about our daughters anymore. It's our sons as well. bad things are happening to good children outside. Kidnapping is a reality, rape is a reality. So all of these things is a reality. And whenever my eyes is not on my children, I need to cover them in prayer, because it's a reality that our kids is suffering so much outside. And the other biggest fear of mine is that I won't be around, that God might take me before my kids are raised. I think that for most moms, that is their biggest fear, that you will not be around to see them grow up, and that they will still need you and you will not be around.
If I'm doing my best in raising my boys, just not for now, for the future, am I raising men that will be hardworking, intelligent, go-getters, and treat everybody well, because that's how I was brought up, and I always have respect for people. And in today's world, you fear that you bring in all the children into this world, but what is going to happen to them in the future? And especially I have this huge fear, and it's something I pray about constantly. What will happen to my children if I'm not here anymore and they must go to university, or they must get married and both my husband are not here to see that. So that's my biggest fear, that we're never going to see that if anything happened or should happen to us.
My biggest worry is, am I doing the right thing? Am I raising them as God would want me to raise them? Financially, it's a whole nother stress on you. Emotionally, it's tough. I think your mind plays tricks on you, and you constantly, when that thoughts come, you're in constant like a battle with your thoughts. Am I doing enough? Am I a good mother?
You know, there's a few, but if I have to choose one, the first one that popped in is that my child would not choose Jesus. It's very heavy, but it is something that's crossed my mind because, and I've mentioned it before, like I didn't have it easy growing up. I mean, I was against the norms from the beginning. And him being the extravagant, extroverted child, which is great. I never want him to lose that aspect of his kindness and his friendliness and how he includes everyone. But I do want him to follow Jesus in that pursuit. So one of my biggest fears is that he will decide to leave the church, and I know I can't make that decision for him, like that's his choice, but I really do hope, and I will keep on praying that he chooses God.
I'd say my biggest worry, genuinely, is that my children will be outside the will of God, that they won't love Him and serve Him with all their hearts. And so my prayers center around that always, because I know even if things are tough and things are hard, which they will be, and which life does throw curveballs and that, but if they're secure in the knowledge that they have Christ and they can cling to Christ, then they'll be okay. And that's the only thing that gives me any comfort in knowing if I was not here anymore, and even while I am, that ultimately God needs to be the rock on which they stand, the strong fortress that they run into.
Probably that they're not happy, even though I know they are. Like, I just want them to be happy.
My biggest worry is failing them. I don't want to fail my kids. I want them to grow up in a way that, I want them to grow up in a godly manner. I don't want to fail them when it comes to that. Yeah, their life really matters to me. And how they live really matters. Yeah.
My first advice to biggest moms is keep praying for your children. Cover them under the blood of Jesus at all times. And the second advice is give yourself a break. We are not perfect. There's no handbook. There's no rules. Take it as it comes. Take each of your child as an individual and just love them. If you love them and you teach them the right ways, the right values, even if they do go astray, they come back to what you have taught them in the beginning.
be patient with yourself, know yourself, and reach out for help if you need it. You can't do everything by yourself, and you're going to burn out at the end of the day if you don't. Even if it's a friend or a sister or a family member, or even at church to your pastor, or just somebody, just talk to somebody to get it off you, because at the end of the day it's going to eat you up, it's going to be too much for you, and you are just going to break down. I learned the hard way.
Trust your gut, trust your instinct, and most of all, trust God. Don't compare yourself with other moms. You're in your own race. I think Instagram lies to us all about motherhood, and it's not like that at all. Surround yourself with other moms. I think that is the biggest thing. Surround yourself with other moms, people that go through the same journey as you, the same season as you are. That is uplifting, because the moment you feel down and you can't do it anymore, there's another mom encouraging you. And most of all, in that moment where you feel alone, when you're breastfeeding, when you're alone with your kid and you can't anymore, to go to God.
Don't Google stuff. If you have a question or something, ask someone who just went through it. I know that's something that's helped me a lot, is finding support with moms going through a similar season than I have. And don't be afraid to leave out any gory details, because one thing I've learned about motherhood is it's not as Instagram pretty as people make it look. It can be messy, it can be sticky, that you don't even know what it is. But it's nice to have that support to know you, to say, you know, I just found this, so I just did this, so I just produced that. Like, what am I supposed to do with it? And moms can be honest with each other. It's not, you don't have to hide anything.
Oh, the first thing I would say, the first thing I did that I did wrong, so I can from that sense give advice, was I thought everything had to be perfect. The house had to be clean, everything had to be done, the children had to be clean. And I neglected to take the time to rather enjoy the moment. And if I can give any advice to any mom, a while back, I walked past a mom in one of the stores, and a little 5-year-old was saying, Mommy, Mommy, trying to tell her something. And you could see she was maybe in her lunchtime or whatever and just needed to get stuff done. And this little kiddie was, Mommy, Mommy. And I so desperately wanted to stop her and say, you know what? Take the time. Sit down, listen to the story. It matters. It really matters.
Don't listen to everyone else as much, especially if you have all this information coming from everywhere. Find 1 or 2 people that you can talk to and trust, and kind of jump ideas off them and situations off them, and follow your gut. I think that's the biggest thing. Follow your gut. Your gut knows. Jesus gave you a gut feeling for a reason.
The advice that I would give other mothers is to be there, be present in your kid's life, and you have to keep them busy, because if you don't keep them busy, then somebody else will keep them busy. So always make sure that you are present. You have to know every part of what's going in their little lives.